Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/EntitledPeople for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my opinions at the end, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Super duper shoe. Crazy brother-in-law. I've been with my wife for 19 years now. She has an older brother who I tolerate out of respect for her. I'm a veteran. Once a year, my local soccer team has a military appreciation night where veterans and family members can get up to 5 total tickets and parking for free. It's a pretty cool event because we get to be in the field with the players while they play the national anthem. I got the invitation email from the team. I was so excited, I got 5 tickets. My wife didn't want to go. I decided to take my 2 daughters, my older brother, and a nephew that loves soccer. They all said yes. The day of the game, as I was getting ready to leave my home, my wife was on the phone with her brother. She mentioned to him that I got 5 free tickets for Military Appreciation Night. He asked her to ask me if we can give him the tickets so he can take his kids. I laughed and said no. My brother-in-law went on a rant about how he deserves my free military appreciation tickets more, and they would be better used by him and his 4 kids. Again, I said no. I was getting pretty annoyed at this point playing telephone with him and my wife. This is where he gets even more absurd. My brother-in-law then asked if I could take his 4 kids with me to the game instead of my daughters, brother and nephew. I got hella mad and just started cussing. My wife gets off the phone and starts scolding me for being so inconsiderate of her brother. I was dumbfounded. I get military appreciation tickets for being a veteran. Her brother never served, yet somehow he deserves them more than me? So, while the brother-in-law is definitely a problem here, so is the wife. Why is your wife entertaining this? I don't quite see how it's inconsiderate that you think that as a veteran, the military appreciation tickets that were given to you should be used by you, and not her brother-in-law who never served. The only reason I can really think of is your wife really doesn't want you to go and is trying to find any reason to prevent that from happening. Why? No idea. But I do think it would be kind of funny to ask her why she thinks her brother-in-law is more entitled to the military appreciation tickets than you are. I would love to hear that line of reasoning. Jerry Coveney. My roommate expects me to pay her sister's share of the rent because I have a job. I live with one roommate, Rose. I traveled for a family get-together. When I came back, I found someone else in the apartment. Turns out it was Rose's younger sister. I asked her what was going on, and she casually said, "Oh, she just came from the village and will be staying here for a few days while she applies for a job." I asked her why she didn't let me know beforehand, and she said, "I thought you wouldn't mind." Fast forward, those few days turned into what feels like forever. Her sister is always home doing absolutely nothing. No job hunting, no house chores, just using up our space, electricity, water, and food. She's basically moved in. When rent was due, I divided it into 3 and sent my 1/3. Rose called me saying I didn't send my full rent. I told her to divide the total into 3 and that is my part. She flipped, said her sister isn't working yet and I've been working for years, so I should be able to afford the full rent, that I should overlook it and render a little help. I told her point blank, "You didn't ask me before bringing your sister in. Now you expect me to pay her rent too? Absolutely not." She called me wicked and stormed off. User Right Cucumber 5775 comments, "Tell landlord about the sister moving in without your approval. They'll kick her out." No Irregular 8915 responds, "Actually, it might be wiser to look for a new apartment, then ask the landlord to be let out of the lease as the roommate has already found a replacement tenant. If they're already in a month-to-month tenancy, OP might not even have to ask to be let off. Just inform landlord of moving. I do agree with checking local/state laws as well as the lease. There's no sense in risking an eviction notice." Like in the end, OP's roommate essentially at this point has moved a tenant in without even asking permission for it and just did it. While they were gone, on a family vacation, they showed up to find essentially what turned out to be a new tenant, and they're not paying anything, but they're staying in the space for quite the extended period of time, and now they're just expected to foot the bill. That is certainly just not fair and definitely sucks. And if I were OP, definitely look into your local tenancy laws and just see what options you have. Read your leasing contract first, make sure there's no language in there that a new additional tenant would potentially cause an eviction, and if not, then speak with the landlord and see what options you just have access to, because this is gonna get very messy and just very complicated. And if you have a new person living in your space essentially that doesn't have a source of income but is living there for free and you're just expected to foot the bill for them, that sucks. Good luck, OP. Key conclusion 5511. You owe it to your sister, who's married, and niece. I called my father this morning to see how they were all doing. Before he said good morning, he asked, what the fuck is a dorm shower and why are my in-laws asking for money and gifts? Let's find out what the context of this is. Background. My husband, children, adult teens now, and I went no contact with my husband's entire immediate family and most extended relatives since 2016. There's 9+ years of not talking to, contacting, or have any type of relationship or interactions. We gave them over 20 years of chances and boundaries and consequences. That's to say, it wasn't a rash decision that was made selfishly or thoughtlessly. Through the years, they send us, in the actual USPS mail because they're blocked everywhere else, requests for gifts. You see, they like to create registries, like you would for a bridal or baby shower, and fill them with obscenely priced items for simple things like birthdays, Christmas, graduation, anniversaries, and every little "I farted and therefore I deserve an expensive gift" event. On to last week into today. I called my husband's aunt to catch up. She's the only one we're still in contact with, and she gave me a heads up that my in-laws were trying to get her to pay, they used the term donate, over $100,000, not a typo, for the golden granddaughter's dorm fees. Because we're family and we need to stick together and do our part. When the lady who is living a modest life and on Social Security said absolutely not, they sent her an invitation via text to the dorm shower, and husband's aunt said it was beyond ridiculous. Not to mention the request for straight up cash when she graduated. In the meanwhile, I'm getting texts and calls from old acquaintances and childhood friends, we all grew up in the same town and in-laws still live there, but we've moved about 4 hours away, saying that my in-laws are harassing them and trying to get a hold of our information, because we changed our cell numbers and blocked them everywhere we digitally could. Last week, in the mail, I received an actual printed invite along with registry information. Not one place, but 3 separate stores. And because we were curious, my whole family, found it comical, took a peek. The cheapest thing on there was a pack of washcloths in the $60 range, followed by a power strip at $120. And the prices went up from there, including items in the $2,000 range. They even had commercial type appliances, which you can't even take/use in a dorm room. So why are they even on there? Then the phone calls started rolling in, which were sent to voicemail, from phone numbers we aren't familiar with. Mother-in-law ended up leaving a message. Husband's name, this is your mom. Niece's name, is going away for college and we need you to contribute $100,000 for her dorm. We also sent you, apparently the rest of us no longer exist, an invitation to her dorm shower and a picture from her graduation, which had requests for straight up money without even hosting a party. Don't disappoint us because you owe it to your niece and sister. First off, no to the fuckity no. Second, niece's parents make more than $500,000 a year. They both work for the state, love to brag, and their salaries are posted. Found that out from aunt. So shouldn't they easily be able to afford their child's dorm necessities? I don't think necessities is the right word for this one. Third, my husband and I have our own 2 children in university. One going into sophomore year, and one going into junior year. And we never made any grand announcements, much less requests for money. They also chose to stay local in order to save money. Fourth, what the fuck are you trying to get money and gifts out of my parents and other elderly relatives? Aren't there laws against swindling senior citizens? My husband dropped everything into the shredder and I erased the voicemail with full intent of remaining and maintaining no contact. In the last 2 hours, I've gotten 6 calls from numbers I don't know, but area codes that are from their area, with nobody leaving any messages. Like, what the fuck? Just when you think you're out, they try to pull you back into their fuckery. So fucking tired, and the nerve to do that. They don't even bother asking about their biological grandchildren that they claim to love with all their hearts. Edit. I'm so sorry that I didn't explain it correctly. To be clear, it's 2 separate things. Request 1, $100,000 for dorm fees and boarding, so essentially rent and food. Request 2, a dorm shower. Registering for gifts at specific stores that people are expected to buy for you. Off a list. Produced/chosen by the graduate. Edit 2, how did mother-in-law get the number? We don't know. We did have a friend say they gave out our address, which they had anyway. We have friends, and my family still live there, our hometown that we both, me and my husband, grew up in. Many people go to the same church weekly, and many of the in-laws attend. That's not the most probable place. We still gave our new numbers to our friends and my family. Mother-in-law managed to get our new number, and nobody has confessed to giving it to her. I'm also getting a lot of calls from random numbers I don't know, and they're not leaving voicemails. That coincides with mother-in-law calling. Mother-in-law, as of right now, has left a single message. Reverse directory on the other numbers doesn't give me information. Somehow, at the very least, mother-in-law has gotten our number. We don't know if the other calls are related to mother-in-law because they don't leave voicemails, but considering the uptick in calls and the message from mother-in-law, we think it's related to each other. Thank you to all who read this novel-length post, the advice, laughs, and the recommendations for Google Voice. It's been already implemented. No further voicemails at this time. I will update if anything pops off. Too long didn't read, in-laws suck from the top to the bottom, inside and out, and all I want is for them to stop. Okay, so is each person expected to contribute $100,000, or are they asking for $100,000 in total for the dorm? And is that for one semester, or is that for their entire stay at uni? Because if they're also staying local, unless they're local to an Ivy League school, I'm really not sure where they could find dorms costing over $100,000 for one single semester. Or for one school year, for that matter. I mean, hell, even when I was in uni and looking at the luxury dorms around 5 years ago, I wasn't actually looking to buy one. I was just kind of curious how high the price could go. Those were $20,000 a semester. So I know those fuckers can get expensive, but $100,000 seems like a lot, especially because it sounds like it, if each person is expected to contribute that much, because to me, it sounds like this is some kind of hustle, and they're actually just trying to milk the family members for everything they've got. Under the guise of, oh, we're family, and it's a special occasion, so you may as well help out with this. Hence the weird industrial appliances being put in there as well. It's not for the actual dorm, it's for the parents, or for literally anything else. There was a part of me that briefly thought, okay, well maybe this is a different currency, because after all, they're asking for $60 washcloths and a $120 power strip. That didn't make sense to me, because that is obscenely expensive, so I was kind of wondering, well, maybe it's in a different currency that has a lower estimated value compared to the US dollar. But that wouldn't make sense considering they're using USPS. So, that family is toxic. And just greedy and gross. And OP and her husband definitely had the right decision to get the hell out of there. And now they're being harassed for $100,000 and to purchase commercial appliances. What a gross family to be related to. I'm pretty much just left with the assumption that they're fully just trying to take advantage of all the family members they possibly can. Which is gross. Seraphim Sphinx. That is not fun to say. Karen let the toddlers out. Shocked she is banned. Our town has a children's museum. It's cute, full of activities from baby through 9 or so. The baby and toddler areas have gates that latch for obvious reasons. Well, Karen decided she would use authority to have her toddler leave. She opens the toddler gate and tells her child, it's time to leave now. Well, her kid doesn't move and clearly wants to stay and play. And instead of closing the gate, retrieving the toddler, and going on with life, Karen decided to hold the gate open and start demanding her toddler listen. So of course, other toddlers book it out, and Karen continues to hold the gate open and does nothing to prevent this, and just keeps yelling at her kid. Instant chaos as parents and a grandparent scramble to catch the escaped tots. Toddlers are running to open elevators, to balconies, into the management office, and my child was booking it towards the stairs. I'm about to catch her when she ducks into the art room, messy but safe, and I notice a toddler nearly to the stair landing, which are 2-story in stone. Glance quickly and see Grandma going as fast as she can, but nowhere near fast enough. So I leave my kid to her painty fate and snatch up Darius and deliver him to a grateful grandma. I hear a dad say, "Close the gate," as he has one twin in surfboard meltdown and another has just booked it out of the gate towards me and the paint room. The Karen then yells at him that it's not her job to watch his kids. She's got 3 kids of her own to handle. She is still holding open the gate. I'm acting as a shepherd of sorts between the toddlers and the stairs. Paint is everywhere, with unsupervised tots not wearing their paint-proof smocks going hog wild. Apparently, my daughter's favorite color is yellow. With this sudden chaos, a manager came to see what was happening, and 2 dads point to Karen, who finally picked up her child and shut the gate. Karen then tells the manager how she felt unsafe because the dad who yelled closed the gate, and demands action. By then, I head over, yellow gremlin in arms, as all the tots are corralled, and me and Grandma back up the dads and say how irresponsible her behavior was. Karen then launches into a tirade about how it's not her job to watch all of our children. The manager tells her she's banned, and she starts screaming. So, security gather her and her 3 kids and march them out. I feel bad for her children, but honestly, girl, how entitled do you have to be? A simple, "I'm sorry, I froze when the kids ran out, I wasn't thinking straight," literally anything. But she wanted to act like she was a victim of unsafe after releasing half a dozen toddlers into dangerous situations. The thing is yeah, normally it wouldn't be your responsibility, but the moment that you open the gate and subject almost half a dozen toddlers to danger because of your actions, then yeah, congratulations, you are now responsible. Trying to wrangle toddlers that yearn for freedom to vandalize a museum is definitely not an easy task. Especially ones that have been cooped up in a playpen all day and are just dreaming of what they'll have access to once they get out of that godforsaken hellhole of the confined space of a playpen. I can't even imagine her just watching a bunch of toddlers leave the pen because she left the gate open and not do anything to prevent it because it's not her responsibility. Some of those kids could have gotten seriously injured because of her actions. And she wants to pretend that she's the victim here? Why are you yelling at me and making me feel unsafe? All I'm doing is hitting people in the shins with an aluminum bat. You really made me feel unsafe here. Ma'am, can't be doing that. You gotta think about your actions and how they affect others. Come on. Bite-sized vixen. Title: My coworker said I should cover her shift because I don't have a real family. I work in retail, and this past Christmas was the first time in forever I actually got Christmas Eve off. I was planning a quiet dinner at home with my boyfriend. Nothing huge, just something that felt special to us. About a week before, one of my coworkers pulled me aside and asked if I'd take her shift. I told her, nicely, that I already had plans. She gave me this weird little smirk and goes, "Well, it's not like you have a real family anyway." I just stood there. At first, I thought maybe I misheard her. But no. She doubled down. That somehow made it okay to dump her shift on me. I didn't even know what to say. It was such an unnecessarily nasty thing to say. I didn't snap. I just said no again and walked off. Later, I let my manager know what happened, not to cause drama, but because, honestly, it didn't sit right, and I wanted it on record. Since then, she's been icy toward me, and apparently a couple of other coworkers think I was petty for not helping her out. maybe they expected me to just suck it up, but I'm tired of always being the one expected to bend. Just because I don't have kids or a big loud family dinner doesn't mean my time doesn't matter. My life still counts, and I'm not going to let people treat it like it doesn't. I can almost guarantee that your manager did actually go and speak to her about her bullshit behavior, and then she turned around and probably just simply told the other coworkers, "They reported me to HR because I asked if they would be willing to cover my shift so I could spend time with my family," rather than what she actually did, which was, "Oh, darling, you don't have a real family, so let me have that time off instead." But don't let it get to you, because in the end, your coworker is the one who's being petty here. She's the one spreading gossip over the fact that you wouldn't relinquish your time off to her because apparently you don't have a family. Yeah, she can go eat rocks. Still sober, bitches. Entitled neighbor cussed me out because I wouldn't buy her baby's formula. Okay, so my fiance and I currently live in a sober living facility for couples. We've been here since March and are about to graduate next month. There's another couple in the program that just moved in upstairs. The female, we'll call her Kate, has been constantly asking us for things ever since she and her husband moved in 2 weeks ago. For more background, my fiance has a good paying job, and we're trying to save every penny we can to get our own apartment. Because if we don't have one by the time we graduate, we'll literally be out on the street. So while I don't mind helping people when I can, I'm not in a place where I can really afford to help other people. I'm barely staying afloat myself. It started out small, a cup of sugar here, an egg there. Then it escalated. She started asking for money for bus fare, to borrow my perfume, and even to wear my clothes. I've been where she is, coming off the streets with nothing, so I've tried to be as generous as I can. But today pushed it way too far. My fiance and I were laying down for a nap. We even had a sign on the door that said, "We're sleeping." But sure enough, she came knocking anyway. My fiance does not handle being woken up well, especially when someone is rude enough to blatantly ignore the damn sign. So when he answered the door, he had a bit of an attitude. Instead of apologizing, she immediately burst into fake tears, saying her baby needed formula and she needed $50 to send to her mom or her mom was going to terminate her rights. My fiance asked when she could pay it back, and she said she didn't know, but not to worry, that she would definitely pay him back as soon as she could. He told her he couldn't just give away $50, and if she expected him to loan it to her, he was going to have some sort of time frame. She got huffy and snapped, "I literally just told you I'd pay it back." And he finally was just like, "Yeah, I would if I could, but shit's tight right now, so I can't really afford it, sorry." That's when she suddenly claimed she could pay it back tomorrow. Obviously that was a lie and we both knew it. So he told her we couldn't do it and shut the door. A few minutes later we heard cussing outside our door, saying things like, "I know better than to ask anyone around here for fucking help again," and "I can't wait till a motherfucker asks me for something." But the real kicker was, it takes a cold piece of shit to let a baby go hungry. Excuse me? Ain't nobody letting your baby go hungry but you and your man. I'm not a piece of shit, and I would never let a child starve. If I knew where that baby actually was, I'd go buy formula and take it to her mom myself. But I'm not handing $50 to someone I know damn well is not going to spend it on her child. And I'm damn sure not going to loan it to someone who I know is lying to my face about paying me back. I'm a recovering addict too. I know the games. I've played them all. And even if what she said about her mom was true, which I doubt it was, the fact that her mom is willing to so easily terminate her rights just lets me know that this has been an ongoing thing with her. She's obviously not taking care of her child and hasn't been for a while, or her mom wouldn't be getting this fed up with her shit. We have never told her no before today. We've given and given, but $50 in hard-earned money is a hell of a lot different than a cup of sugar, especially when we're saving every dime to avoid homelessness, which is exactly what her and her man should be doing. They are both perfectly capable of getting jobs just like the rest of us. It's not my responsibility to take care of two grown-ass adults. The audacity of some people never ceases to amaze me. End of rant. Edit. So, I talked to a few of my friends who also live here in the complex. Apparently, she's been talking shit about my fiance and me all night. One of my really good friends ended up telling her to shut her fucking mouth because she heard everything that went down and knew we didn't do anything wrong. LOL. Kate said some shit back to her, and long story short, we all got together and complained to the staff about her attitude and toxic negativity. Our peer support gave her a few pamphlets on food banks in the area and places that offer help with clothing and other necessities. Then, she basically told her that if she got caught asking anyone for anything else, she would personally escort her off the property. Hopefully, that took care of the problem. Anyway, I just want to thank everyone for your kind words and encouragement, especially for all the congratulations I received. It really does mean the world to me. Every one of you could have scrolled right past and not even bothered to comment, but you took the time out of your night to tell me congrats and that you were proud of me. That right there is proof that there are still good people in the world. Edit 2. I also forgot to add that we aren't the only ones she's been doing this to. From what I gather, it's basically anyone and everyone who's willing to give, she's willing to take from. I heard the peer support letting her have it, telling her that we are all here to turn our lives around, not go backward, and acting the way she is acting is old/addict behaviors. The girl probably thinks we're all snitches, but I really don't give a shit. I know this is cliche, but I'm not gonna sit around and let this bitch wreck my peace. Also, while the peer support was ripping her ass, she smelled the marijuana all over her, so she'll probably be kicked out pretty soon anyway. Update. So, the shit hit the fan today. Kate was caught red-handed stealing another girl's makeup, so that was grounds for them to do an immediate search on her apartment. Not only did they find marijuana, but there was a crack pipe, used needles, and some kind of drug left over in a spoon. Not only were they walked off the property, but the police were called, and both of them were immediately arrested and taken to jail. I hate to say this, but good. In my opinion, they are exactly where they belong. I know what it's like to struggle with addiction, obviously. But if you want to get high, don't do it around people who are genuinely trying to turn their fucking lives around. Have you no human decency at all? They were not only throwing their own sobriety down the drain, but they were knowingly jeopardizing everyone else as well, without a second thought. Honestly, I'm just glad they're gone. So, of course, major congrats to OP and their sobriety. That is an amazing accomplishment to make, and that is an awesome step to take in your life. Someone who I'm very close with, who is family, recently had to go through the journey of going through sobriety and checking themselves into rehab and actually taking those steps, so I understand how difficult that can be. And I'm incredibly proud of him for how he handled it. He sold his car, what was once his dream car, did everything he could to get himself in a better position in life, and did. And he's been doing amazing, and I am nothing but proud of him for taking those steps. So that stuff is hard, and it requires a lot of strength and willpower to push through, and a lot of sacrifices need to be made. So I get that. And yeah, it's unacceptable that someone was taking advantage of a sober living facility specifically so that way they could get free rides off of other people while continuing to use, jeopardizing not only themselves and their future journey, but everyone around them. And as shitty as it might feel that, you're on your path to sobriety and they just got kicked out of a sober home, you gotta remember, there's a reason you put your oxygen mask on first, because if you try to just help everyone before helping yourself, you're gonna run out of oxygen, and you're not gonna be able to help anyone else. Sometimes, you gotta lift yourself up first, and that's okay. And that's what OP did. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Bear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.